The hot rod market has been a changing landscape for, well, since ever. Take a look at fuels over the entire lifespan of hot rods. We started out with, our muscle cars started out with leaded fuel. That leaded fuel is now gone, basically. We've moved on to unleaded. Well, unleaded fuel now is on its way out. The question is, what's next? Are we going to go EV? Are we going to go E85? Are we going to go propane, hydrogen? What's the next plan in fuel for our sports cars and muscle cars? Companies like EV West and GM have been driving crate engines here and there over the last year. And think about the EV West one we talked about in our live stream a few weeks ago. We're talking a Model 3 here. So that car is something like 3,500 pounds, 250 horsepower. Nothing crazy, nothing great, nothing we actually would want in our cars, right? Well, think about this though. That car runs 12s. That same Chevelle, right, with 250 horsepower and a, 350 or something like that, is going to run 15s, 14s. It's going to be slow to get there. So how are these electric cars doing this with such a low horsepower number? Well, I mean, really, it's fairly simple if you think about it. On your standard 350 Chevy, when you rev your engine out, you're going to rev the engine out, right? So you get your peak horsepower. And if your peak horsepower is 500, let's say, that means that this entire range, you are not at 500, you are instead at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Electric cars, you're going to be here, basically. So you're going to be, 250, just across the board, just 250. And it's going to be now, it's not going to be in a couple seconds or whatever. It's going to be just power. And that's the advantage of electric, is for guys that are doing like autocross, it's phenomenal. So imagine like a bolt swapped eCrate engine in a Fiero. That would be phenomenal. In a Miata, that would be great. A third gen even, it'd probably be, it would hurt, but it'd probably be fine. You'd probably actually get mid 12-second car, be able to drive the car on a semi-regular basis because of, issues with charging, which is my main issue with electric cars. Charging drives me absolutely insane. The amount of time I have to take to fuel up my car sometimes drives me nuts. I don't want to stand at the gas station waiting for my car to fuel up. And I know it's a very instant gratification type attitude. It's one of those things that I don't like sitting in the gas station when I could be out driving my car. I could be enjoying the vehicle. Instead, I'm standing here waiting for fuel to flow into this gas tank. And the same idea goes to electric cars, just at a much higher rate, right? So electric cars are going to take hours to charge potentially. Some are down to 15 minutes or so in the Tesla world, and I think Porsche as well. There are a few examples of quick chargers out there, but they're just not to the level of availability they need to be at. People talk about how electric cars are going to change the world, and how electric cars are going to take over until we remove our internal combustion engines out of our cars, and electric is going to be the future and the only way to go, right? So the big consideration with that is going to be charge time. I can't drive an electric car from Michigan down to Georgia. And if I did, it would take me days. Or God, Lord forbid I wanted to drive Route 66 in a Tesla Model S, right? So the problem with a lot of the issue is mid-America and a lot of rural California. And I mention that because California is one of those states that's really trying to push for electric, and they're really trying to phase out internal combustion engines. And it's just not feasible for guys that actually work for a living. Those of us that work as ranchers, those of us that work as construction, those of us that work as, whatever laborer, we need a truck. And we need a truck that's got a diesel. We need a truck that's got a large gas engine, potentially. An electric truck pulling a boat doesn't last long. And that's our big issue right now, like I said, is range. So range is the entire discussion right now. Something to consider here is, if you take very few road trips, if you take very few long drives, an electric car is probably actually a good option. If you've got like a MG or something like that, dude, that crate engine from GM would probably be really, really fun in that car, and it'd probably be really fast, and it would be fairly easy to do. But you're talking 50 grand probably, right? So we're talking 20 to 30 probably for a crate engine. We're talking maybe 40 to 50 for like the Tesla one from EV West. And that's just out of the realm of possibility for most guys, when I could go pick up a LS 427 for considerably less and make a lot more power. But again, power's different. But I wouldn't have to remove the soul of the vehicle. And that's the way that I feel about a lot of these electric swaps, is you're stealing the soul of the vehicle. I would much rather start that car, have it be slower, but actually... and hear the actual sound of an engine start. To me, that is just so much more what the car is about. The driving experience is one thing, but again, the driving experience with the right setup matters. So if your Riviera, is what you want to drive, is it still a Riviera if it doesn't have that rumble, if it doesn't have the push that that original Buick engine had? Or is it something better because it doesn't have that? And that's the great debate we're having right now, is just, what is the future of muscle car? I firmly believe the future of muscle car is ethanol and alternative fuels. People have been asking me a lot lately of E85, and I'm a big E85 preacher. I think that E85 is basically one of the future fuels of racing, and I think that it's pretty much the only economical option for guys of my class status. We don't want to spend money on leaded fuel. We don't want to do that. We want to build cars and drive them. So we'd rather go E85 and drive our cars. That said, E85 isn't available all over the country, but it does give you a few advantages if it is available. So if you're running a 10.5-to-1 iron-headed engine, you could probably run that on E85 without a second thought and be totally fine. Because E85 is going to be like 108 octane or so. It's going to be, E85 is probably going to run your engine cooler as well because of the alcohol. So you're probably going to make more power in general. You know what? I'd actually say you're going to make more power on E85 than you would on 93 octane. It should be there. There are a few things you got to do to make it to make the switch though. And we're probably going to talk about that at a later time. But the basics are just a carburetor, maybe a fuel pump, maybe bigger lines, but not necessarily. You're going to be putting in probably like 20 to 30% more fuel, more than likely. So it's not like a big deal if you just get a decent Summit fuel pump and call it good. The big thing that we're running into with E85 is going to be the other components of the engine, the rubber components. Basically what we're going to call consumables for this. So the consumables are going to need to be replaced for E85. But that's a fairly easy and expensive conversion. Instead of pulling your engine out, pulling your drivetrain out, cutting your floors, replacing the floors, putting in batteries, dealing with charging stations, dealing with all the other stuff. Not to say that electric isn't the future of cars. It probably is the future of cars. I just refuse to admit it. And that's a big thing for us, is just the infrastructure needed for electric cars just isn't there in our area. But if you are interested in electric build, comment down below and let me know, because I'm curious what you guys have put an electric engine in. But over the next 5 or 10 years, we're going to see shops putting these eCrate engines in, and we're going to see them doing big things with these cars and these engines. Whether you or I want to be part of that or not is a discussion that we need to have. So go ahead and comment down below and let's have that discussion. With that whole long rant done, what do you guys think? Comment down below and let me know what you think. Would you guys be interested in seeing an electric swap at some point? Would you be interested in swapping your car at some point? Like I said, I'm not really sure at this point. But if you guys like what you're seeing, give this video a like, go ahead and subscribe. Have a good one, and I will see you on the road.
The wheels are spinning on the right side.